Alright kids, as of me recording this episode, Kanye West released Yeezy Season 8. I have no idea what that means. At this point, Kanye is so unavoidable that a majority of the things he does becomes news. And I would know, because I've been trying to avoid him. For example, while researching for a previous episode about how pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is nonsense, I was Googling variations of the phrase in order to get different results. When I began to type lift yourself up by your bootstraps, I realized why no one man should have all that power. I poopity scooped the next 2 minutes of my life away before I got back to what I was doing. It occurred to me that Kanye dropped an album a few months ago and I forgot about it. I still have yet to listen to it. Now, that's meaningless for a lot of people, but I was such a big fan of his. To me, Kanye changed music, not just hip hop. Kanye's music was a soundtrack to my life. Not just his songs and albums, which we'll talk about later, but with his beats and that soul sound that he established with This Can't Be Life. I mean, Kanye was a major contributor on what can be argued as Jay-Z's best album and Common's best album. He produced songs for Janet, Brandy, Alicia Keys, Mariah Carey, Ludacris, Talib Kweli, Drake, Lil Wayne, and Kid Cudi, just to name a few. He brought Chicago legends Twista and Do or Die back. He introduced the world to John Legend. He gave Dilated Peoples and Slum Village more notoriety. We know about the singles and hits, but the foundation of my fandom came from his early production work. I still remember where I was and what I was doing the first time I heard Doing My Job by T.I. and Heaven by Scarface. Here's how Beanie Siegel's album started courtesy of Mr. West.
I'm just a picture in the frame. Pause, I paint word pictures on the canvas of life.
Today we're going to talk about the music and the memories that meant so much to me, and the moments that made me say, I want the new Kanye. In February 2004, Kanye West released The College Dropout. For me, a 20-year-old at the time working at a department store and trying to figure out what to do with the radio and TV broadcasting degree I was getting soon, this album was right on time. Songs like Spaceship and Never Let Me Down were the anthems for me trying to make a better life for myself. Even if you weren't a fan of Kanye or even hip-hop, you knew that Kanye West was in a near-fatal car crash. Less than a year and a half before he declared himself a college dropout, Kanye wrecked the Lexus he was renting as he fell asleep at the wheel after a late-night studio session that went into early morning hours. Kanye shattered his jaw, which required reconstructive surgery. If Kanye was a superhero, and he was to me, this would be his origin story. His theme song would be Through the Wire, which he recorded with his mouth wired shut. And Last Call, the final song on the album, would be the backdrop to this episode. Sometimes I want Kanye to return to who he was at the end of this song because you hear Kanye at the most vulnerable, his most humble, as he explains what he went through in order to become a rapper and to get signed by Rockefeller. Kanye's sophomore album was Late Registration. I remember listening to this album for the first time on this thing that was becoming popular at the time called an MP3 player. I really wanted to hear We Major because it featured Nas and Kanye produced a takeover, so I thought that was crazy. Anyway, when the beat dropped, I thought the MP3 player had broke because We Major sounds like 3 songs blended into one. Gold Digger was dangerously catchy, and how are the most melodic la-la-las you've ever heard in your life come from a song called Crack Music? Then there was a song simply called Late. Now that was a song I used to get dressed to because anybody who knows me knows that whatever I was getting ready for, I wasn't going to be on time. The lead single to Late Registration was Diamonds from Sierra Leone. The Diamonds remix featured Jay-Z, and Kanye would later mention this as he expressed what his big brother meant to him on his third album, Graduation. Graduation is Kanye's best album in my opinion, and certainly my favorite. I was months away from enrolling at The Ohio State University when this came out. There was flashing lights and its visuals. I mean, you can see the beat or picture a skyline when you hear it. Then there's Good Life, where Kanye made metaphors without using like or as popular. I can't even put Lowry's on my french fries without thinking about how it's got to be because Yeezy seasoned haters giving him salty looks. Can't tell me nothing. He sampled Jeezy's ad-libs. Jeezy's ad-libs make everything better. Then came 808s and Heartbreak. I had already met the woman who would come to be my wife. Now, I enjoyed this album. Highlights include the first song, Say You Will, where Kanye's snare drum sounded like a heart monitor. Kanye created this album after breaking up with his then fiance and after the death of his mother. He debuted the first single, Love Lockdown, at the MTV Music Awards. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because Kanye repeatedly debuted his songs in dope ways. The music video for Otis on Watch the Throne, from Yeezus, New Slaves, and Black Skinhead at Saturday Night Live, All Day at the 2015 Brit Awards, And I know this isn't a debut, but the video of Kanye and Kid Cudi dancing to Father Stretch My Hands from The Life of Pablo is classic. Mostly because Ye and Kid Cudi had a feud. Now, over the years, Kanye has also had public feuds with Jay-Z and Drake for various reasons. At this point, like any timeline of Kanye, I feel like I need to bring up the Taylor Swift thing, but I want to focus on what led to that moment. Kanye stormed out of the 2004 American Music Awards after losing the Best New Artist Award to Gretchen Wilson. 2 years later, he stormed the stage when he lost Best Video to Justice vs. Simeon at the 2006 MTV Europe Music Awards. He was saying that his video for Touch the Sky was better because, quote, it cost $1 million, Pamela Anderson was in it, I was jumping across canyons. Kanye blamed his behavior on having a little sippy and added that he had never seen Justice vs. Simeon's video. In 2007, Kanye kind of made fun of himself for crashing awards in a Saturday Night Live skit where he interrupted speeches from the Kids' Choice Awards, the Nobel Prize, and a state fair because the champagne-filled pumpkin didn't win. It was a cool opportunity to show that he was self-aware, and I thought this meant he would stop flipping out at award shows, but then came the 2009 MTV Video Music Awards. Let's not forget that Kanye stepped on stage at the 2015 Grammy Awards when Beck won Best Album. With all that being said, Kanye secluded himself in Hawaii after the Taylor Swift thing. America turned on him. During that time, though, he recorded My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, his most critically acclaimed album. This album featured power, and I don't care what you're doing. If this song comes on while you're doing it, you're gonna do it better. Another notable song for me on this album was Devil in a New Dress. Now, one thing I liked about Kanye the rapper is that in his songs, Kanye usually touches on everything. But I stopped wanting to hear what he has to say in his records based on what he has to say on the record. What could Kanye possibly have said on The Life of Pablo that could match the impact of Bill Cosby is Innocent? What could Kanye possibly rap about that could supersede Slavery Was a Choice? He seems to think that he breaks the internet with little truths. Now, never mind the fact that him saying that is inaccurate, but he of all people should know that something that ain't real can break the internet. My issues with Kanye don't lie in the fact that he and I differ on our political stance. My issue is that he disagrees with himself. Kanye tweeted that Obama was in office 8 years and Chicago was unchanged, and that's legit. Kanye likely had a lot of hope in what Obama, a black man from Chicago who happened to be a Democrat and also called Kanye a jackass after the Taylor Swift thing, could help their shared community, and it didn't pan out. But what does any of that have to do with supporting this man? Is he going to bring about the change you want? As much as you can support a political figure without voting for them. Kanye admitted to not voting at all. But if he did, he would have voted for 45. Even though Kanye says that half the stuff 45 does, he doesn't support. Kanye says that 45 showed him that he could be president. I guess this pertains to Kanye, not being a politician, becoming the leader of the free world. I should add that Kanye is more than a musician. He should be free to speak about his concerns outside of music. He's just bad at it. Even with that, he's right when he says that black people shouldn't be forced to vote Democrat. He's misguided when he says that black people are brainwashed, though. Just like how there isn't just one way of being authentically black, we don't all think the same or vote the same. I'm not going to say that any of this means Kanye isn't for blackness or black people, but he is definitely for himself. I'm aware of the fact that it's been a few minutes since I've said anything about Kanye's albums or songs, and that's the point. It's no longer about the music. I can't simply compartmentalize and separate Kanye the genius from Kanye the human man person in order to excuse myself to continue to listen to his music. If anything, I've learned from Kanye that what you put on represents you. For him, it's a MAGA hat. And me, it's Kanye's newer music. For a while, I wanted Kanye's mouth to be wired shut. Which makes sense because musically, socially, and politically, Kanye seemed like he was on a crash course. Somewhere along the way, I don't know if he needed direction or he fell asleep at the wheel, but he lost control. And on Jesus is King, Kanye could be on the road to recovery, but I wouldn't know either way. The last 20 years of Kanye's life have played out like a movie, and I'm hoping for some resolve. I took a cheap shot at Kim K earlier, and I apologize. She has found some purpose in using her money and resources to help out others who were wrongfully imprisoned or can't afford legal counsel. I'm hoping Kanye can use his influence and notoriety to bring about the change that he wants to see in Chicago. I hope he can find something worthy of supporting and actually follow through. I want the new Kanye. Admittedly, I still listen to Last Call when I feel down, and I still almost tear up whenever I hear Through the Wire. I really want the simple type Kanye, more introspective, not the complicated rapper in my personal opinion. I mean, what am I going to say? I was just a fan, man. Look, I understand when people said they want the old Kanye. Politically, it meant George Bush doesn't care about black people. Socially, it meant quoting something he said. Musically, it means heard him say. I'm waiting on Yeezy's next season because he should know nothing's ever promised tomorrow today. We gonna be all right.